God, that video single-handedly made me hundreds of thousands of pounds. You can't sell something for a price that you've never paid. People that say courses are a scam generally are broke idiots, right? They just don't know what they're talking about. If you just do the right thing for 1 or 2 years, you can't help but to make money.
So ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special guest here, William Brown, who needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. This guy is a serious entrepreneur. When I say serious entrepreneur, not just sitting in his little bedroom, creating a little business that makes $10,000, $15,000 a month. No, he's built a very, very huge business. Not only that, he's also exited it for multiple 7 figures. So that already is very, very interesting. I don't know a lot of people that have actually done that. And then after that, he hasn't retired and decided to sit on the beach and just chill, although he could. He's decided, you know what? Let me just carry on and providing more value and helping more people. And he's accidentally made another business, which might just be more successful than the first one, which is insane by accident. So we're going to unravel all of that. We're going to talk about exactly what William does, how he does it, who he helps, and just have a general conversation between two guys who have made something successful online. So thank you for coming on, William. And yeah, I think the introduction serves you fairly well for people who don't know who you are, but there's a lot more to unpack. So I'd love to pass it over to yourself.
For sure. Well, dude, awesome to be here. And I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I think we're just going to unpack everything, aren't we? And just go through all angles, all areas. But yeah, you're right. This new business, it's weird. Whenever you have the energy of you don't need something, that's when you kind of get it. You know, have you ever experienced that?
In both relationships and both financial wise, yeah.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what it feels like. I think after selling the last business for the amount that I did and at the time that I did, I just wanted to kind of do something more, less for just money and growth and more just for fun and fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And it's weird, when you go down that path, you kind of get rewarded for it, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's so true, especially for a lot of people when they're starting out. Typically, they want to start a business to make money, of course, right? We're not running a charity, but typically that means you're in a scarcity mindset, which is completely normal. Like everybody, not everybody, most people are in that stage. I was, for sure. And then you're constantly on kind of this hamster wheel of like chasing that first client or the next client, and you want to make an extra $500 a month, but you're just focusing on the money rather than actually helping the clients. But just before we go into all of these, like, guys, we have so many different topics to cover, and I'll geek it out. I'm so excited about this conversation. I was telling you, I was like, I'm so excited for this podcast. So first things first, because I want people to give the clear context on how you got here, what exactly you've done to get here, because I want people to actually understand the authority and the position that we're coming from, because there are a million people online who rent a nice car, who have a nice watch, and they pretend to know what they're talking about. But William genuinely knows what he's talking about. So I want, if you don't mind giving people a bit more context on kind of what was the first business, what was the exit like, and we'll go from there.
For sure. So my first ever proper successful career, I don't know whether you know this, was as a DJ and record producer, right? So from the age of 19 to about 26, I DJ'd all over the world. I've played in over 45 countries. And that was a really great career. But the money was not very good. You know, some months I'd make $2K, some months $8K, some months $0, some months $700 for one show. And that took me up to the age of about 25, 26. And my friends started, you know, one of my friends bought like a nice Audi. One got married. One bought his first house. And I was just living with my parents. I had probably, who knows, 4, 5, 6, 7K in the bank. So pretty much no money, living with my parents. I didn't go to I went to university, but I studied music, so I had no proper skills or anything like that. I just loved music. And at the age of about 26, when things started becoming real money-wise, that's when I found trading, financial markets. I started trading on the side with the hopes of just growing the income so I could do music without worrying about income, basically. And then the trading turned into an online education business, an e-learning company. And then over the next 6 years, I grew it from 0 to $16.4 million cash collected. And then sold that company last year to a private equity firm in America for multi-7 figures. And I'm one of the first people in the world to sell like an online course business, especially to private equity, which I don't think actually anyone has sold a course business to private equity before. And then I started the kind of new business that I run now, which is called buildgrowandexit.com. And surprisingly, we help people to either build online coaching businesses or grow them or exit them. And that's kind of where things are now, essentially.
And that was just because you thought, okay, well, this is the skill set that I've got. I'm going to help more people. And all of a sudden, you just sharing your advice and your story online, people resonated with that. And then it just went crazy. I remember one of the videos that you uploaded, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
I believe. One of the first ones where I think it was like 400, 300,000 views, where you just genuinely sat down and you were like, if I was to make 10K a month all over again, this is what I would do, right?
Yeah, dude, exactly. And God, that video single-handedly made me hundreds of thousands of pounds, got me loads of bloody clients, but I think changed a lot of people's paradigm as well, because one story that I told in that video was about one of my clients that teaches knitting online and makes about 17K a month. And that blew so many people's minds, because so many people have sort of come up to me and told me like, oh man, you know, you inspired me so much with that video and the examples that you gave. Because dude, some of my clients, I've got a client doing about 85K a month, helping people stop drinking alcohol. I've got the knitting client doing about 17K. I've got a manifestation client doing about 100 and almost 200K a month. I've got sports teachers doing 40, 50, 60K a month. You can do this in so many niches, and I just love helping people realize it and do it properly. Because if I've got a skill, it's just selling information, selling knowledge online, basically. And that's what's made me almost $30 million now over the past 7, 8 years. And I just love it, man, you know, because it's based around helping people. The whole thing is you've got a skill, a talent, some knowledge, and you basically sell it to other people in a way where, you know, it's very value balanced, and it's just a great business model, man.
And I think this is something that I get from your videos as well, is that you genuinely enjoy what you do, and it portrays in the videos, which then portrays into the clients that are attracted to you, which then just makes everything so much easier, because you're not even doing hard selling. It's like somebody already enjoys your content. You've maybe shifted their paradigm from, I don't know if this is valuable to anybody, to, oh wait, this can be valuable to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. William can help me package it in a certain way that I can then, you know, sell it and make a lot of money. We'll get into all of that in just a second. And I think I said this off of camera, the first question that I wanted to start off with, and like a very open-ended one, and we can just extrapolate it from then on, is what are the key traits that you've noticed from your successful either clients or friends who are millionaires? What are certain things that you see common along all of them? Yeah,
for sure. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just brutal obsession. Just brutal obsession. They just love what they do. They love business. They love building, growing, learning. And for better or worse, it kind of takes over their life almost. Like they think about it all day. They learn about it all day. They do it all day. They think about it when they're sleeping. They talk about it to their friends. They talk about it to their girlfriend or wife or husband or whatever. And it's just like they are all in. They are absolutely bloody all in. So that's one thing. Can
I just say, sorry to interrupt you, before we move into the next one, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but specifically about that, being obsessed with the idea of like running the business and improving it, building on it, etc. I don't know, maybe somebody else can resonate with this, and maybe this is value to somebody else. For me, there was a stage, I think it was around 2-3 year mark, when my first business was a marketing agency, and around 2-3 year mark, I had like this like unbalance between work-life balance, right? And I was like, in my head, I didn't speak to anybody about this, and in my head I was just constantly like battling between, I want to work in the business, but I want to be present with my family. But then when I'm present with my family, I need to focus on my business, and then I'm doing neither. And I really, like, genuinely, I was pretty like in a bad stage mentally, and it took me a good 3 to 5 months to be like, and then again, this is the conclusion that I came. I'm not saying it's correct or wrong, but this is just for me, that's helped me, is, in my opinion, if you really want to make it, if you just want to make 10K a month, no problem. You can do 80% lifestyle, family, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and then 20% you work in a business every now and then. But if you really want to make life-changing money for not only you, but your family, in my opinion, it just is work. Like everything is work, 24/7.
So true, man. Well, it depends how much you want to make.
Yes.
You know, so if you just want to make 10, 20, 30K a month, like the knitting woman, good God, that's bloody easy, man. You know, especially if you sell a high ticket program and you're charging a certain price, 2, 3, 4K, you do not need many clients every month to make that. And you can get that done and still have a lot of life and see your friends, see your family, go out, do whatever you want to do. But things start to change when you get to, I think, about 150 a month, 250 a month, 350 a month. That's when you don't get there unless you're all in and you are obsessed and you absolutely love it, because to get there requires so much time and effort and work and focus and learning and sacrifice as well. Like what one of my mentors used to say, you can't have it all depending on what you want. So if you want to do the numbers that like we do, so last month we did 424,000 cash collected, and you just can't get there without being all in, especially. And if you want to go to like 1 million a month and beyond, there is no work-life balance. You know, you've got to temporarily, for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, give up the life, do the work, and it's kind of a season.
Yeah.
You know, and you can break out of it. Like we've just been to Bali for 2 months on a holiday, so you can still do that stuff, but you've got to be all in if you want to do serious numbers and build a serious business, man.
You know, can I just mention one thing you said about Bali? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you done like a mastermind there, or you host. No, I don't know if you hosted it, but you went to a mastermind and you spoke in front of people as well, right?
Yeah. So I went to one and spoke, and I did my own one at my villa.
Got it. So, you know, again, just like look at yourself, right? You just mentioned that it's like, yeah, you are on holiday, you are in Bali, but there's still work going on and you're still making money.
Oh yeah.
I think the seasons, what you said there is so true. And for context, again, I said this off camera, but I think the vast majority of people watching this are between the age of like 18 to perhaps 25. I think the vast majority. And for me, when I was 18, I didn't know what I know now, right? You don't know what you don't know. And I was going into business and entrepreneurship completely blinded. I don't have an older brother. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have even a father figure to like teach me about anything business related. So I was going into it blind. And now I get it that the first part just absolutely sucks. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. If you're going to start playing golf for the first time, it's going to suck for the first week or two, right? Until you can at least hit the ball once, right? And then you kind of start to get it a little bit. And then you can hit it like 2-3 times a session. Then you kind of start to get it a little bit more. And then, so that's the first part. Now, in business related, it's like, let's just say your generic service-based business where you're getting a client and you're providing them a service. It doesn't matter what the service is, but typically you're getting the setup, you're learning, and you're doing a hell of a lot of outreach. No one's responding, no one's interested. Every now and then, the odd person will agree to jump on a call with you. You finally get them on a call, and then they say no because you have no client results, nothing to offer, right? So that first part really, really sucks. But if you just keep doing it, eventually you will get a client. It is impossible to not, because I've done it, you've done it, you will get it. And then there's that middle part. This is like how it happened for me. That middle part of what you said, around 10 to 30,000 a month, which obviously fast forward a good couple of months. You know, it doesn't happen within 2-3 months to get to 30K a month, typically. But that part for me was like the bliss season where it's like you're making 10, 30K a month. There wasn't really many responsibilities in that sense. I didn't have any staff members who relied on me. I had a couple of virtual assistants. And it was just pretty simple, right? But then to scale past that, that's what we're talking about here, is you have to go all in. And then it's not as blissful, at least for me. Like, there's so many problems that I have to deal with every single day, but I'm in a completely different mindset. I enjoy solving these problems. And it's like, I know that at the end of the rainbow, when I fix this problem, there's a pot of gold. Whereas when you're starting out, you don't know.
Dude, that's so important to keep in mind. I think for everybody watching, the foundation of what we do is problems. Business is problems. So you've got loads of problems to tackle when you own a business. And within a business, you're solving problems for your clients. And they're paying you for that solution, basically. Especially in our world, in the online education and so on and so forth world, it's just all problem solving. So I think it can be useful to think from that foundation, for anyone watching this who's maybe brand new, well, what problem can you solve and what's the value of solving that problem and to who? Because in any market, there's always people that kind of need it solving and then there's people that massively need it solving, and there's people that don't have money, and there's people that have a lot of money. So, you know, what problem do you solve? Who do you solve it for? Can you solve it for the rich people? All these things can be so helpful to think about. And I think we both learned it the hard way, because I didn't have a clue about that, you know, when I started. What about you?
No, likewise, it was just trial and error.
Yeah.
Like messing up so many times and then learning from it. One thing, you know, I asked the question, which we'll go back to, about the traits that you see amongst common successful people. One that I see amongst a lot of common people, or amongst successful people that has a common trait, is the idea of just doing it. Like, you learn the fundamentals or the MVP, like minimum viable product. Like, you understand just enough to at least go for it, and then they do it. The people who understand it, but then learn a little bit more, and keep learning, but they don't take action, and those are the ones that get stuck.
You've just said it there. So if there's three things, one would be obsession, two would be constant learning, and three would be just doing shit. And I say this all the time: make a mess, clean it up. Make a mess, clean it up. And like you said, I'd actually forgot about the Bali Mastermind, but you know, the reason I went to Bali was kind of for a holiday, but I paid to go to a 3-day mastermind as well, just because I'm just aware that there's things that I don't know. There's a lot that I bloody don't know. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm not a billionaire, so there's a hell of a lot I don't know. I haven't made 100 million yet, so there's a hell of a lot that I don't know. For people that are watching this podcast, there's, you know, hopefully we can cover some things that they don't know and send them away with a little bit more value. But yeah, that's it. Obsession. These millionaires and even billionaires just never stop learning, and they never stop doing stuff, you know. So really, just work back from that. A lot of normal people don't learn. They've never bought a course. They've never even been to a mastermind. Some people don't even know what a mastermind is. So they don't learn. They don't take action, and they're not obsessed. So it's like, you know, if you do those things, you get the outcome. If you don't do those things, you don't get the outcome. So when are you going to do those things, you know?
You know, here's a really, really funny story. I haven't actually said this ever before. My first ever client from a marketing agency. So the idea that I said there, like, I learned just about the basics from YouTube. What is SMMA? Roughly, I'm going to be running paid ads. I'm going to be generating leads. I didn't know what leads even were, what it meant. But I just got it, like the basics. And I was like doing cold calling to car dealerships because I'm obsessed with cars. I love cars. And I used to live in a little town called Colchester in the UK. And I called within like a 40-mile radius, every single dealership you could imagine. I just picked up the phone and dialed. And I kept doing it until they at least answered, or at least I got a meeting. Now, you don't especially a marketing agency, it's all online. You don't have to physically go into the business to do the physical meeting. But for some reason I did. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. You know, your dealership, I can be there tomorrow at 2 p.m. Anyway, I drive there now for 2 hours. It was about an hour. It was like from Colchester to Chelmsford. It was a business called Total Head Turners. You guys can still look it up. It's still running right now. They sell like old classic muscle cars, like American muscle cars. Long story short, I get there now. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm just excited, right? I put on my shirt, which is probably from school, too small, right? Yeah. I drive there. I think I had a Ford Fiesta or Insignia, like this little car. I had my little laptop. I had like this whole keynote presentation prepared. And I go in there, and there's these two business owners in the dealership now. I think they're brothers, and they run the dealership. And I go in there, bear in mind I'm like 18, 19, right? I don't even have this going for me. Yeah. I look like a kid. So I sit down now, and I'm like, yeah, so, you know, you guys are doing great, but I think you're missing out on Facebook. And they're like, our clients are not on Facebook. I'm like, no, I think they can be. And they're like, well, our clients are not from Facebook. They come into our dealership or they call us. I'm like, well, who's your ideal client? And like, typically around 40, 50 to 60-year-olds, so on and so on. I'm like, well, they have sons and daughters, don't they? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, what if we just get you guys out there and their kids see your content and then they show their parents and so on and so on. They're like, all right, I like where you're going with this. And you know, on the spot, I'm thinking of all these different things and I'm just trying to get them to buy. And at the time I was like, pitching £1,500 a month retainer, right? And it was insane to me. My lips were shaking the idea of saying 1.5k a month, right? For 90 days, for 3 months. So that's what I pitched them. I said, cool, I'll do this. I'll come in, I'll record content, I'll take photos, I'll upload for you, I'll do everything. Just 1,500 a month for 90 days. After that, we can renegotiate. And they go, how about 1,500 for the whole 90 days? So £500 a month. And I went, yep.
Oh, dude.
And it gets worse, right? So I'm like, sure, yes, okay. I was just excited to do it. I was just so excited.
Yeah, God, it makes such a big difference, doesn't it? Because it's not really about the money at the start. It's just about seeing it work, just to get a paying client to do something for you. Dude, I remember the first thing I ever sold was a $50 2-page Word document with just text.
Your first thing that you sold?
Yeah, in the trading education company, because back then I was just trading and I had a Twitter, right? And I didn't know anything about one of these businesses. And someone just messaged me one day and said, Will, you know, your cousin or your auntie or something said that you're doing very well. I'm not doing very well. Could you please help me? And these are the kinds of messages that we get every day now from people saying, can you help me, right? But that guy said that to me. He was a local guy. He PayPal'd me $50. I've still got the receipt to this day. And he came to my house for 2 hours, sat with me, made a Word document, and disappeared. And that was my first ever customer. And then I kept the Word document, messaged my other Twitter followers, similar to you, but not in person, messaged them, trying to sell them the $50 Word document, and I sold 2 or 3 and made $250 or something close to that. And that was the start of the last business.
And then did you have a switch in your mindset to be like, wait, this actually works? What if I just do 10 of these a day or a week?
Dude, very much so. Because back when I was learning to trade, I bought a course, my first ever course in my life. It was £300. And I remember I got given a course and I got put in a Facebook group. And I remember looking at the Facebook group and there was something like maybe 150, 200 people in there, or whatever the number was, a couple hundred people. And I just remember thinking, hold on a minute, £300, well, 10 people would be $3 grand, 100 would be 30 grand. So this guy's maybe made 60K. And I was like, oh my God, £60,000 from just selling a course in a group. I was like, wow. And even though I didn't act on it at the time, I think that kind of planted the seed. Mm-hmm. And I probably thought to myself, wow, hopefully maybe I can help people and make this money one day. And then obviously that first guy, I think his name was Wissam, buying that from me for $50, that set me off on that path. And then when I'd sold a few, the customers started giving me feedback. So one of them would say, oh, can we put images on the Word document? And can we put these answers to these questions on the document? So they helped me make the product better. Then I slowly raised the price to like $75, $95, $150. And that first year, I think it was 2018, I made like 27K from I think it was about April to the end of the year, selling that and raising the price and making it better. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that year, I'd made similar to what I was making from DJing. Mm-hmm. You know, so I was making something like 30K from DJing. I'd made about 30K from selling the education. And that was when I thought, wow, this could actually be something here. And then, you know, I learned about funnels and paid ads and traffic. I started a YouTube channel. The second year we did about $250,000. Then I joined Alex Becker's mastermind and learned about paid ads. And the third year we did about 1.3 million. And then it just kind of spiraled from there as I learned. So it's going back to trying shit, learning, trying shit, learning, right?
And the cherry on top is being obsessed, right?
The cherry on top is being obsessed.
I can hear that. It's like you got the basic and you're like, this works. What if I just do more of that? What if I just get obsessed with it? I think it's a natural thing.
Yeah, dude, I literally remember, because I did not have a bloody clue. I didn't know what cold outreach was. I'd never heard that term in my life. I didn't really know what sales was. I didn't know what product development was. I didn't know how to price things.
Who's a VSL?
What you know, I just...
Who is that?
Yeah, you know, I just didn't have a clue. And I just kind of logically thought, all right, well, people are finding me on Twitter. They seem to like what I post. Then eventually they reach out for help, or I can ask them if they want the help. So then I thought, hold on, well, maybe if I start like a YouTube channel, then send all those viewers to Twitter, get more people on Twitter, surely more people will want to buy. And if I charge a higher price, those sales will make me more money. And then I thought, right, well, what if I make bigger, better YouTube videos and better tweets? And it just all...
Start optimizing everything. Yep.
Yeah, and it just slowly came together. And then I just learned and raised the price, made the product better, got more traffic, learned to make the sales process better. And then it just became a positive flywheel where I just learned more, made more, learned more, made more. And then we just got bigger and bigger and bigger every bloody year until we were tracking for like over 10 million in a year in the end.
Love that. Love that. And that was a course of around 5-6 years.
Yeah, that was from 2018, 19, 20, 21, about 6 years.
Wicked.
And end to end. Yeah.
You see, when me and you sit here and we talk about the idea of just being obsessed with that business, and what does that physically mean? It just physically means to look at everything that's going on. Where are we getting the clients in from? How can we optimize that? How many of them are showing up on a call? How can we make sure more of them show up on a call? What's the onboarding like? Are they satisfied or are they upset? Like, they're good? How can we get better results? And so on and so on. Like, to me and you, this seems like common sense. Like, obviously that's how you need to work on a business. You need to build it. Where do you think a lot of people, they say they want to build a business and they say they want to make a lot of money, but what do you think are the biggest things that actually stop them? And let's just say from 0 to the 30K, not because 50K to 150K is actually far easier typically mindset wise, because you already get it. You already have the foundations. But I think from 0 to 10K a month, for most people, that's the hardest part.
Well, to answer the question, man, I once heard one of my friends, he's quite big in the sales and marketing world, a guy called Dan Henry. Have you ever heard of Dan?
Of course.
Dan Henry? Yeah. I once heard him tell a story. When he was younger, he met a millionaire and he asked the millionaire, like, how do I get rich like you? And the millionaire said to him, well, what business are you working on right now? And he said, oh, I'm not working on any business yet. He was like, okay, what business or money books are you reading right now? And he was like, oh, I'm kind of not reading any right now. And he said, well, you don't want to be a millionaire. You don't want to be rich. And Dan said, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Tell me how it's done. He said, well, you learn and you take action. You read the books, you buy the courses, you go to the masterminds, you watch the YouTube videos, you watch the podcasts and you learn. And then you start businesses and take action and make a mess and clean it up. And Dan told the story a lot better than I just told it then, right? But that concept is so true. So if anybody's watching this and you want to be rich and successful, well, what do rich, successful people do? And are you doing it or not? And if you are doing it, great. You're at least you're on the path. But if you're not doing it, well, that should reveal to you, are you going to do it? Do you really actually want to do this? Because if you do, you know, I don't listen to what people say. I look at the actions that people take.
It's so true. I think that's talking about physical actions, right? So every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Sam Ovens is incredible. If you guys, I'm sure, hopefully a lot of people know who he is. Yeah. You guys should absolutely buy his old stuff and learn just the mindset stuff alone. It is insane. That is genuinely what's helped me to think how I think now. And he really talks about, well, it's inevitable. It's just how life works. Every action does have an equal and opposite reaction. You cannot be lazy and stay in and expect to have a successful business. Vice versa. You cannot expect to work hard, stay dedicated, wake up early on time, do the outreach, do the content for a long period of time and not get the results. You cannot expect that. It will happen. It's one or the other.
Exactly.
And for some reason, people think that they can just kind of avoid it. I'll go out this Saturday and I'll get drunk, but no, Monday I'll be back on it. They say that, but they lie to themselves. Even if you physically are on that Monday at the desk, you're going to be tired, you're not going to be thinking straight, all these different things. So I think a lot of people have to have the kind of, you know, the switch where, look, you have to realize no one's going to do it for you. Even if you have an older brother or a father or, you know, a great family that loves you and cares for you, nobody's actually going to get you, rip you out the bed, sit you at the laptop and type for you, get clients for you. You have to do it. And I think a lot of people just kind of oversee that.
Exactly. Dude, I love the way that Sam Ovens thinks. And some of the concepts are so simple, but so true.
So true.
You know, you've got to just take action and learn and iterate on shit. And if you take action and learn and iterate, you're gonna figure it out eventually. Again, it's just a case of learning an action and learning an action. Make mistakes, learn from them, and go in the right direction. You know,
one thing, I think this is going to be huge value to people listening at home, because I only learned this like 2-3 years into my journey, is everybody listening, especially if you're new, you have to change your paradigm from I want to avoid problems and problems are scary and they're frustrating, etc., to right, how many more problems can I fix this week? All right, let's look at it. What's this problem? What's that problem? Like a very, very easy analogy in real life, like that most people can relate to, is like that toothache. Like if you have a toothache, you can ignore it for another week, another month, maybe even another year or two. But eventually it'll get really, really bad. And then it's too late, right? With business, it's the same thing. If, let's just say you're already running a business and your clients are somewhat satisfied with the results. They're not complaining, but they're not overly ecstatic. Yeah. Well, there's a problem there. And if you just kind of avoid it and you carry on top of funnel, getting more clients in, you're basically fighting an uphill battle. Fix that problem that is at hand. Like a real example one for our business was show up rate. Our show up rate genuinely was around 45-50% show up rate, meaning every 10 clients we booked, and we've worked very hard to find, qualify, and speak to them and book them in for a call, only half of them would show up. And then we're like, what the hell are we doing? We're literally losing half of the business. Like, what are we doing? So I spent an entire month to just fix that, and now it's about 95%.
You told me, didn't you, about the solution to that?
Right? And it's insane. And that one problem that I just focused, instead of just avoiding and being like, oh, my team is horrible, they don't know what they're doing, or blaming it on the clients or potential clients, like, oh, it's just the leads, they're not interested, they're not serious people. No, you've got to look inwards.
Oh, you've just reminded me of a call that I had yesterday. Someone said to me, they came to me with like $1,000 offer. I won't share what kind of the offer was. And they said something to me so matter-of-factly. They said, people will not pay more than $1,000. I just thought, well, if that's your belief, you're right. If you truly believe on that and that's what you build your business around, well, that's what you're going to get. This is a whole other conversation in regards to beliefs.
Let's talk about it. Beliefs
impact your actions. And my job a lot of the time is just to break beliefs based on, because people trust me because of what I've achieved. So when I said to those guys, listen, I kind of told them a story and I was like, look, I've done extensive research on all types of people all over the world. Trust me, you sell to British people and American people that are about 25. They've got $1,000 bloody. And if you can just explain to them that you're selling a 35K outcome per year for 1,000, they should be biting your hand off. They should be throwing 1,000 at you. I said to them, their numbers were actually awesome. Their show rate was good. Their close rate was like 30-odd%. I was like, just charge 2,000. Let's adjust the bloody sales script. You've got to convey this belief to your sales team. You've got to have this belief. Just understand the logical side of what you're doing and talking about here, and you will make more money. But sometimes it's just people just have the wrong beliefs and they don't even know it sometimes.
Everything is built upon that, right?
Yeah.
Your beliefs impact your actions impact your results impact your belief, and it's a flywheel effect, right? If you think that you can't charge 1,000, you'll act like you can't charge 1,000. Therefore, you won't charge 1,000. Therefore, you get results of you not getting clients for 1,000, which then reconfirms your belief of not. And then it's just a never-ending flywheel effect, right? And it can either go infinitely positive or infinitely negative.
Very much so. And dude, I actually think that we all battle with this.
Every day, yeah.
At different levels,
yes.
Right? Dude, I've got to share a story with you because this will really make the point. So I was telling you earlier about the $85,000 full pay for this new offer that I've just built to sell your business.
By the way, just to clarify, that's $85,000 in one payment up front. Carry on.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, because I think some people heard it and it just might have gone over their head.
Yeah, well, to me, it doesn't feel like that much money. I think because I've got good cash reserves, it's just a little bit more. But nonetheless, I was on a call with my mindset coach about 3 weeks ago, because I've got a mindset coach that I do 1 hour a month, and he just holds me to my word, holds me to my goals, makes sure I'm doing what I should be doing, which is another story. But I was on a call with him, and I was in Bali, and I said to him, look, Mark, we're making good money, things are going well, team is good, income is good, customers are good, and I just feel a bit complacent. And he said, right, what's one of your next goals? And I was like, right, I want to buy this penthouse with cash. I don't quite have the cash for it. I'm a little bit short, but with a few more months, I'll save up and buy it. And he was like, right, here's what you should do. So Will, you're one of the only people that's sold an info business. You should create a sell your info business offer. No one else can offer that apart from you, apart from Sam Ovens and Alex Amosi. So make the offer. I want you to post on your Instagram story about it. See if you can get any leads, see if you can get any calls, and see if you can pitch it. And I want you to charge $125,000 for it. I was like, fuck that. There is no fucking way that I'm charging 125 grand. And he was like, listen, wait. And I had that belief. My instant belief was 125K.
Who's going to do that?
No. Like, no one's going to pay that. And Mark was like, listen, right, if you can find someone whose annual net profit, is along the lines of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 million, then you could probably help them sell for maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million, right? If you can do that, they're going to pay 125. And I was like, okay, no, that makes a bit more sense. So he was selling me on it, the understanding. I was like, okay, no, that does make a hell of a lot of sense, the value equation. But equally, I'm not sure anyone in my audience would be even ready to sell an info business. If they could, it would take a lot of work on their part and my part. And again, 125 in one wire is like a lot of money, man. And he was like, right, what number do you feel comfortable with? And I was like, 85. He was like, okay, well, let's do the first one at 85. And anyway, I left the call. And I didn't take any action. All right, I didn't do the Instagram story. I didn't do anything. I just I was like, oh, just fuck it. He'll forget about it and I'll forget about it. And then we had another call. This is about 9 days ago, right? And he said, how did it go with the sell your business offer? I was like, I haven't done it yet. And he was like, why? And I was like, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, man. And he was like, Will, just post on your fucking Instagram and see what happens. All right. So I was like, right, I'm going to do it. So I got off the call and I posted a story and I literally just said something like, if anyone has an info business they want to sell, just reply to this story and I'll see if I can help. The most basic, no copywriting skill required, right? And I got like 8 or 9 people interested. None of them were ready to sell. They just weren't in a position to sell, apart from this one woman. And this one woman reached out and she was like, yeah, I've got this offer. We're doing like 700K a month net profit. And we would consider selling for the right amount. So I was like, okay, cool. Long story short, we got on a call. And the day after the call, she wired me $85,000 in one hit. She actually sent it through PayPal, friends and family. All right. And that was actually yesterday, right? That literally yesterday, she wired me 85 grand in cash. And it just goes to show, like, I just didn't know something, and I certainly didn't believe in that. And it even took me a while to settle into that, despite the fact that I make hundreds of thousands a month in cash anyway. So thank God for Mark just instilling the belief, making me take the action and learn. And just through that, I should pay Mark a lot more than I do for that. But yeah, so let me ask everybody that's watching this, what don't you believe to be possible that actually probably is possible? And how can you just logically make it make sense? So for anyone watching this, when I tell you that I made 424K cash collected last month, that might sound like a bit crazy and weird, but just like understand it. It's just a lot of people buying quite expensive products over a month, driven by traffic and stuff. So if you just logically make it make sense, when you understand it, then you can take action and then you learn and iterate and you get the outcome.
And that story there, you can relate it to at any level, either down or bigger, right? There's probably millionaires that are like, Twitter, for example, we can't sell Twitter for 45 billion. Who's going to buy that? There's a guy out there.
Exactly.
And but I think when you're starting out, it's genuinely, I feel like, a lot harder. At least this was for me, right?
Oh, yeah.
To actually genuinely believe that somebody is going to pay you $1,000 for just typing a few keyboard keys, on a laptop overseas. This is something that I helped. So I went to a mastermind. Serge Guattari? Perhaps heard of him.
I've definitely heard of him.
Canadian guy. He does incredible systems for different businesses and so on. So he is a good buddy of mine. We actually started SMMA about the same time. So now 6 years ago, something around that. And long story short, we kind of went different ways. I started running the OnlyFans management side of things. And then he, instead of coaching SMA, he does like a done for you, build systems and so on. And he had a mastermind in Marbella. And I just got fortunate enough as one of his friends to just go there, you know, tag along and just listen along. And we were sitting at this dinner table. This is like day 2 of the mastermind. Everyone was staying in the villa. And we're at this dinner table, like having dinner. There's about 15, 20 people. And there's one guy sitting next to me and he was like, I'm just really struggling, like closing $3,000 or more for my services. And, you know, I asked him a bunch of questions. What's your service? And blah, 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 to get a full understanding. And then I went into asking about, okay, how many times have you pitched more than 3K? 0. I was like, okay, well, that's one problem. You've never even asked. Why not? And he's like, I just don't think anybody would pay that. I'm like, right. What's the biggest thing that you've spent what's the biggest purchase that you have ever made? And he was like, probably like my phone or like a payment on a car or something like that, like $1,000, $2,000. And I was like, right, and by the way, he had like 20, 25K in his bank account, right? Because he was doing okay with his agency. I was like, and we were in Marbella. I was like, right, genuinely, this is what I said. The next day, you're going to wake up, we're going to drive to Puerto Banús, where all the luxury shops are, and you're going to spend $3,000 to $5,000 on anything you want that day. And he was like, really? So yeah. Now, the next morning, I was busy, and he went by himself. Very good. I like this guy because he takes action, right?
That's good.
He actually he comes back with a Louis Vuitton duffel bag. He spent like $5,000 on it, right? He comes back now and he's like, this is so good. I feel amazing. Yeah. I feel so good. I'm like, love that. He goes back home. He lives in Australia. He goes back home. The next week, he messaged me. He's like, Marcus, what the fuck? How? I've closed a client for $5,000 a month retainer. I've done it. I'm like, there you go. And the takeaway here for everybody watching, by the way, I know you probably got it, but the takeaway here is if you personally have never done it or if you've never experienced it or seen it, it's hard for you to believe it because then you have to fake it to make it, right? But if you've personally had the money in your bank account or you've been next to somebody who actually has spent that money, even if you're next to somebody, right? Ideally, if you yourself have spent that money or you've got the money, you can then justify and it makes a lot more sense to you. And I think for a lot of people, that's what they struggle with.
Dude, that is such a good point that you've made there. I'm so happy that you've shared that because I would have forgot to even go down that route. But God, that's just so true. I think Sam Ovens once said that to me or to somebody else. He was like, you can't sell something for a price that you've never paid. I think Sam was talking about a mastermind. He said, well, you can't sell a 30 grand mastermind if you've never bought a 30 grand mastermind. And equally, I remember when I first moved to Dubai, I moved with a couple of friends, one called James, one called Iman, and they loved their cars, they loved their watches, and I was kind of scared of money, definitely scared of spending money at the time. I'd never bought an expensive watch, never bought an expensive car. I bought some real estate, but nothing kind of items-wise. And I think it was James that said to me, look, treat yourself to a nice watch and just spend the money and it will like level you up and you'll be able to make more because it'll become part of your personality because you're the person who can spend that much and then you're the person that can also make that because you're comfortable with those kinds of amounts. You know, and it was actually James that talked me into buying this watch, actually. I'm very glad that I did because it's so true. You've got to get over the fear of the amounts, you know, and be comfortable. So that advice that you gave to that guy, man, that's game-changing advice. And everyone listening to this podcast should take that.
He's actually, by the way, one of, Iman has something launch, the coaching thing that he does where there's a bunch of people teaching, like he's got Jordan Welch teaching e-commerce, he's teaching like another thing and so on, right? One of the guys that the guy that I spoke about who went and bought the duffel bag, he's actually one of the coaches in that now.
Full circle.
Yeah, he's doing very well now. Yeah.
Full circle.
Not all thanks to me, but just that one little story could have been a massive shift in his life, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing as well about spending money, which is, and by the way, I must give this piece of context because what I don't want an 18 or a 19-year-old watching this, listening to me and you talk about this and being like, well, I've got £700 in my bank account. let me just go buy an expensive pair of shoes. No. We're not saying that. No. There's a time and a place. On top of that as well, also, it's like, what if the other side, you're 25 and you've got kids, you've got a mortgage, there's, a lot of things depend, and you've only got 4,000 in your bank account. I'm not saying go spend all of that. There's a time and a place. But the time and the place is when you are doing okay, but there's just, you need to that next step. And sometimes this is what it might be. This is what might be stopping you guys. And for me, why I enjoy spending money, I mean, me and you are in a very fortunate position where our life is branding, and branding is potentially getting clients and so on. But even that beside, whenever I spend a lot of money, it's just, there's another gear that kicks in. Even if I'm not low on cash and I see a big decrease in the number in the account, I'm just like, right, what can I do this month to make that back or double it?
Yeah.
It's just something naturally that happens. And again, there's a time and a place to do this, but absolutely.
So true.
One topic that I wanted to discuss with yourself, William, and I've never spoken about this to anybody about this before, but the idea of like overall the online perception of courses and course sellers and info products in general. In my opinion, I would say the vast majority is more leaning towards negative, right?
Definitely.
First of all, why do you think that? Why do you think there's this perception in general?
Well,
and by the way, that's including me as well. Like, I'm in the same boat. I obviously sell an info product, so I'm in the same boat as you. But why do you think that?
For sure. Well, let me just say this. I don't really get hate very often. I do run some ads, and people will often say, so I run ads to sell my book, right? And we actually lose money on those ads. But on occasion, people will say, oh, if you're so rich, why are you selling a book? And like, oh, if you've sold your company, well, why even bother starting another business? People just don't really get it. Like, speaking about myself, I no longer do this for money. I do this because what else am I going to fucking do? What else am I going to do, man? Just wake up and go for a coffee and read and go to the gym and watch TV and just go on holiday and shit. Like,
the aim of the game is to keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in my opinion, you can tell who's real and who's not. From people's energy and what they say and how they say it and what they do and stuff like that. I think you can tell the people that love it and want to play the game and build something great. There's just a sense of integrity and respect that comes across in certain people and not in others, right? But nonetheless, to answer your question more directly, people that say courses are a scam generally are broke idiots, right? They just don't know what they're talking about. And that's the common default. Oh, I don't understand it, so it's a scam, But how can you say that when you've never seen inside the product? That's like saying that Tesla car is a scam. Well, it's just illogical, man. So I don't know where. Well, actually, I think I do know where that comes from. I think it comes from people that have had bad experiences, massively shouting about the bad experiences, and then people that have never had any experience at all just see that and think, oh, well, that person bought a terrible course that may actually be a scam, right? And they are shouting about it so loudly, and so many people are, so many likes and comments and views, that maybe all things like that are a scam then. And then the good guys just get caught up with the bad guys. And again, if you lack kind of logic and experience, you just pool everybody together. I think that's what's happened. But again, I mean, you can tell, in my opinion, who's real and who's not.
I think from the public's point of view, completely agree. I think a lot of people haven't had that experience, but they hear a lot of other people, because negativity spreads a lot faster than positivity, right? So they just assume that everybody's the same. Fuck that, I'm not risking that. But I always like to look inwards, and not just myself, but just the coaching sphere as a whole, and what do most people do wrong. And I think one, which is Hormozi said, and it really resonated because I've never heard anyone else say this. The issue with info products and courses, a lot of the time, isn't the value itself or the videos or the content itself. A lot of it is actually the mismanagement of expectations. A lot of it is, you'll make 10K a month guaranteed. You can't say that because I mean there's certain things you can put in place, like okay, like for example us, we have like you don't have to do it, but if you want to have a higher chance of you having success, we have an accountability coach and there's a whole tracking sheet and we make you do outreach. You don't have to, but like if you want a higher chance of success, we're gonna make you do the outreach. That's the only thing you have to do. Once you've got clients, and it's success, right? So one of the first ones is I think a lot of people mismanage expectations because they want to sell their course. So they make it sound as easy, quick, simple, all these words, right?
That's true.
But it takes a lot of work. If anything was actually that easy, then don't you think everybody would do it, right? So I think that's the first thing, which we can talk about. And then the second thing is unfortunately the barrier to entry just is so simple to info products. Anybody can fly to Dubai, rent a supercar, get a fake watch, go to a nice hotel, and you've got enough content for an entire 2-3 months to look like you're the baller. But then I think what separates those people to people like me and you is just do your own research. Go on mine and William's YouTube or our Instagram, scroll all the way back. Not just like the last week. Scroll the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years back, right? You can't fake this on YouTube where it says the dates when the YouTuber's video is uploaded, right? Yeah. Scroll all the way back. That's the first thing. I also say, look at the interviews of the testimonials. Are they real people? Because for me and you, we don't mind sharing their faces, their real name, their Instagram, their business.
Exactly.
Reach out to them. All these different things I always advise. And I think a lot of people, they don't do this. They unfortunately fall for that guy who is like, it's quick, it's easy, I guarantee. Look at this student, he's done it in one day. Yeah. And unfortunately, those bad apples, they kind of ruin it for the rest of us, you know?
Exactly. Well, I think you said it a lot better than I did there. It's the good guys getting mixed with the bad apples. But you're completely right. It's just the promises. But the annoying thing is, human beings generally are attracted more to those bad guys because for some reason, I'm not a psychologist, I don't know why, but you know, when they see people in a beautiful place, Dubai, Miami, with the cars, with the girls, with the watches, with the penthouse, with the villa, with the money and stuff, they just believe that they can get that, which again, I think is like a human thing where people buy people, right? So you don't necessarily buy a product, you buy the person, and you've got to like and trust the person before you buy.
So especially as a mentor, that's all it is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So really the thing that we sell is who we are and what we've done and what we have. Because people buy from us or buy from anyone to get, you know, closer to that person, to be more like them and get what they've got and stuff. But the only way to really understand who's good and bad is just their reputation, testimonials, their videos, their history, the length of their history, you know, their accolades. Have they, I don't know, sold a company? Have they scaled very far? Have they worked with any big people? Can you speak to any of the people that they've worked with? Just stuff like that. So again, I don't think it's hard to see who's real and who's not. But then again, it must be because I don't know. So. And
I just want to reiterate for everybody who just heard what Williams listed, all those things, not one of them was look at the materialistic things that person has, right? Because again, the point I'm trying to make is, and you know, it's interesting, like 5-6 years ago, a Huracan was like, that's crazy, dude. You got a Lamborghini. Now it is so available to just rent for like $600 a day in Miami, Dubai, London, anywhere where you go, you know? So definitely do not look at the materialistic things. And then perhaps somebody watching might be like, okay, Marcus, but that's literally your brand. But I get it. Like, it just gets me more views. Yeah. And obviously, I'm not going to say I don't enjoy driving my nice cars, of course. But I just get social media and I lean into it. Like, this is the same thing as like if me and you made a video about like this, for example, this we could sell the amount of things that we've spoken about and the value that we would give, etc. But this will probably get perhaps a couple thousand views. If me and you make a vlog in Dubai, me and you spend 50,000 each and we spend 100 grand in Dubai mall and all this stuff, it will get 100,000 views, right? Yeah. It's just natural how social media works. And it's an interesting one. I think a lot of people, they want to, I mean, it's just everybody. They want the view at the top of the mountain, but they don't want to either watch the climb or do the climb themselves. And it's like that with everybody.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, look, none of us are, I mean, you know, Sam Ovens had a penthouse and a nice watch. Alex Samozi used to drive an i8. on the way here, I put my new Range Rover on my bloody story. I actually deleted it because I was like, oh no, I shouldn't post that. But I did, and I kind of backed out. So none of us are we all want to have nice things and show that we've got nice things. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
We work bloody hard for it. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You've just got to do you want what that person has? Is I think a good question to ask, right? Where they are, what they do, the money they make, the life they live. Do you want that? If you do, you should probably work with the person because they've got what you want, right? So they've walked the path. They probably help you walk it a hell of a lot faster. And this is another conversation, is about the vehicle, because there's agencies, there's info products, there's this thing, there's that thing. It's about kind of what works for you. And we're all kind of different in that respect.
My advice always, and again, there's no right or wrong, but just my personal advice is that if you're 18 to 25, or even age doesn't necessarily matter, but typically 18 to 25, or if you just don't have necessarily a lot of skills, or like you're not an expert in something, or you don't have a lot of money, my thing is sell your time. Typically that is what you'll have, especially the younger you are. The only thing you have is time. So you should figure out what can I do with my time that I convert it into money. There's physical things you can do, like, I don't know, cut grass or clean windows, etc. Like if you're already like 15, 14, right? But then online, there are things that you can trade your time for. Maybe there's a successful business owner that doesn't have the time to learn on how to build a website, but he'll happily pay you £500, 5,000. I know people that sell websites for 15,000, genuinely, at one website for like 15, if not 20,000. I've been on calls with these people. And I think that's my thing is if you are starting out, you must realize that what do you have? You have right now a lot of time. So you should understand how to trade that time for money. By all means, you can make money with Forex, you can make money with crypto. It's just there's a bit higher risk to reward. There's a higher chance of you not making any money. And if anything, actually, going net negative. Whereas if you're trading your time, the worst thing that will happen is you don't make any money, but you've learned a bunch of skills. That's the worst case scenario. And that's for a couple of weeks or a month or two until you actually end up getting a client, because it's inevitable.
I couldn't agree with that more, man. I could not agree with that more. I think I love the kind of agency. Just do things for people and just use your time to... Again, it's just problems. Just find some problems. Like, oh, this guy's got very long grass and no time to cut it. Problem, let me give you some time, you give me some money, I'll solve it for you. I love that agencies kind of do things for your side. And equally, if you've got a skill or a talent or some knowledge that you can sell, that is better, in my opinion, because then you're just selling air. It's just selling knowledge, essentially. But you can definitely start there and go there, or vice versa, for sure. But those are, in my opinion, if you want cash flow, those are the by far the best two ways in the world to get it right now, I think, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. Talking about your business model then, William, so like selling knowledge, right? What are the common things that you jump on a call with? I don't know if you do calls or your team with new people who haven't yet started a coaching and an info product business. What are the common objections or like things that they think, oh, I can't do it because of this?
Well,
or by the way, or is it by the time they jump on a call, they already know that they're ready to go?
to be honest, it is.
I'm assuming actually, yeah, probably most of them, yeah.
Yeah, so before people book a call, there's an explainer video where I share who I can and I can't help. And the people that I can help are people that have a skill, a talent, specialist knowledge. I can help you package that up and sell it. And again, the company is called Build, Grow and Exit. So we help people either start from scratch and build, or if you're doing it, to do it bigger and better and grow, or now even exit as well. But yeah, the common objections, I'd say the number one is, oh, I feel like I've got this skill or talent or knowledge, but is it good enough to sell? It's just self-belief. Like, they just don't understand, can I sell it, yes or no? How much could I charge for it, yes or no? How do I physically do it? And if we feel like that someone's skill or talent or knowledge is not good enough, we'll turn them away. You know, and if it is good enough, we'll bring them on board. And sometimes people actually come to me and say, "Will, like, I've got all these things that I love. You know, is there one that I could share?" And I just have to. It's funny, like, I have to see inside their life to tell them what to do with their bloody life and business, you know. But I guess you don't know what you don't know kind of thing. So.
One thing that you mentioned on the video, which really resonated with me, this is for the info product side of things, is you don't have to be at level 10. You can be at level 5 and you teach people to go from level 2 to 3. Just that alone is very, very valuable, depending on obviously what the thing that you do is. And this also goes for just general piece of advice. If you can ideally do something that makes other people more money or save time, or the cherry on top is both, you can charge a lot more. By all means, you can teach somebody how to hit the golf ball correctly, etc. And you can probably have clients making 50 to 100K a month, perhaps, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But if they helped a e-commerce brand that sold golf clubs, right, get them into, that all of a sudden would be 10 times multiplier, because they can also justify spending that money with yourself, right?
Dude, I'm laughing because one of my newer clients has a very big e-com background, but like physical, it's stuff that's not like online e-commerce as such. And he came to me, he was like, I want to do something on the info side. And I said to him, look, why don't you start building, I think he wanted to build like a TikTok shop thing. And I was like, right, start building it now, document you doing it, put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube, put it on Instagram, and just let people follow along. And eventually, like what happened to me, eventually someone will want to be a part of that journey with you. So even though you haven't done it in full yet, get on with doing it, just like I did, and eventually someone will reach out for help. And within about 3 weeks, someone had already reached out for help and he'd closed someone into the program. Mm-hmm. So the reason I tell you that is going back to the 1 to 10 thing. Even if you're a 0 right now, just get started. Goes back to what we were saying earlier. Bloody take action and get the hell on with it. And even when you're a 2 or a 3, you're going to start getting zeros that ask for help. Then when you're a 3, 4, 5, you're going to start getting 0s and 1s and 2s and 3s that ask for help. So even if you're not an expert yet, get on with it. Because there will be people that secretly desire to even get on with it that can't even do that. They sit and watch and don't do anything. And they just need someone to just be the example, So you don't need to be an expert even to start. Mm-hmm. Get started, document it, and you are going to get customers and clients. So.
It's like today is day one, not one day. You know what I mean? That concept is these things are so simple. And this is what I learned from Sam, is like most things that work are the simple things, and that's why they work. But people oversee it and they try and complicate it. Here's I done a mastermind recently, or like I was just a part of the mastermind. I was one of the people speaking here in Dubai, and the audience asked a question. They were like, "What is one of the biggest things that you know now that in this whole online entrepreneur, online Wi-Fi money space, that is just the biggest myth and bullshit?" And my answer was, it's not necessarily a myth, but the idea of people overcomplicating it and trying to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of things that work, and they work for a reason, right? You have to look at it, and there are certain things perhaps you have to go a little bit, like have your own niche. So for example, SMMA, it works. The idea of providing a service and marketing to a business, it works, right? But to do what SMMA was 4 or 5 years ago now is very difficult, because everybody's doing it, right? Everyone's been burnt, they have had a bad experience, etc. But if you do, for example, what my friend Serge does, right? Yeah, it's marketing, but we'll do it for you, like done for you. Not only just running the paid ads, we'll get, I don't know if this is what Serge does, by the way, but the idea of we'll hire somebody to come into your office, they'll record the content, we'll then edit it in-house, we'll then publish it, we'll then build a funnel for you where all that traffic gets funneled to, we'll then have an appointment setter who'll pretend to be working for you guys, booking these leads in, they come in, we do the follow-ups, we do the entire system, rather than just I run paid ads. So anyway, going back to the point I'm making is, I think a lot of people, they just overcomplicate the basics when they're starting out. Like what I just spoke about here, this is like step kind of level 4, 5 and onwards. When you're just starting out, the basics are the basics. Understand the fundamentals, do outreach in a service-based business, sell your first couple of clients, make mistakes, learn from them, right? But then people going and talking about like, I must wake up at 4:30, I must meditate for 15 minutes, I must do the cold shower, right? And this is what I mean by overcomplicating things.
Yeah.
And there's some truth to things like that. Like I used to do this when I first started. I used to journal. Well, when I say journal, I used to write things that I'm, like 3 things that I'm grateful for. I found that journal, by the way, in my apartment. Insane. I'm going to show you that one day. I've got 300 goals written on there. I've almost completed all of them. I wrote them like 4 years ago. Insane. But there's a time and a place. But if you just focus on the thing at hand that moves the needle forward, and that can be different for every single business, but if you just focus on that every single day, Monday to Sunday, 7 fucking days a week, 12 months a year, you're gonna move forward. Just don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. Do you know who the YouTuber Hamza is?
Yes.
So Hamza was one of my clients recently. I was helping him with some marketing and sales stuff. And then he asked me to do some calls for his Adonis school group that he has. And on one of the last calls that I did for them, I think it was actually the last one, last Monday, someone said to me, when you were starting out, what was your daily routine? Right. And I said to him, dude, I just got up and worked. I just woke up, got a coffee, sat down at the computer and worked, and then I would work all day, maybe nip to the gym, stop for lunch or something and keep working. And stop in the evening and have some drinks and some food and chill, go to bed, wake up and just work, And I think he expected like, right, I would wake up at 8, I would get a coffee, I would go to the gym, I would write in my journal. I would
this
meditate.
Specific coffee.
I would work from these hours to these hours. I would stop this. And I was just like, dude, just fucking do the work, man. Just stop. You don't even have to meditate. Quite honestly, you don't even have to be physically fit and jacked. You just need to be alive and focused and obsessed. And if you were alive and you can walk and talk and type and shit, you can build a bloody business. You don't have to be any special person or do any special thing. Just learn and do the fucking work.
And by the way, I'm sure you're the same. We understand why you guys want these questions, and you're just looking for this little secret edge that is going to fast track your success. But my friend, everything that is worthwhile having is difficult to attain, right? And if it's not difficult to attain, typically it's not worthwhile having. If I was to give you this napkin for free, this little tissue, who fucking cares about the tissue, right? But if it's this tissue that's been signed by Ronaldo and you've had to do this crazy task and it's taken you 12 months and this tissue's in like this frame, all of a sudden it's worthwhile having and you're going to talk to me about it.
So bloody true. That's the definition of value creation right there. But yeah, I think if anyone's watching this and they're just thinking like, but what's step one? Like, what's the first thing? What do you think the first thing is? I can't decide in my head. I feel like the answer is, I almost want to say attention, because even if you've got a solution, you can't even get it out there without attention. So maybe the solution comes first, but then attention is second.
I was just going to say, it depends on what we're the context of what is step one. Like step one, I'm sure you'd agree, is get a job. Like you must have at least some sort of an income, right? Yeah. Like, of course. Then once you have a bit of an income, this is my thing that I always say, is you have to work out what's called your break even, which is how much money you spend per month on things that you must spend. Not like the odd t-shirt that you buy here and there, but the things that are non-negotiables. Of course, your bills, your food, if you have a car. I counted even haircuts because I do get a haircut, So anyway, you work out, this is what I done. I worked out your break even. You then times that by 3, whatever that number is. For me, it was like £745, whatever. That's all my expenses were back then. And I times it by 3, and then whatever that number is, once you have that in your bank account, and again, context, if you have kids or a mortgage, of course, take these into consideration. I'm just talking your average 18 to 25-year-old who has no responsibilities. Once you have that number in your bank account, you then have a higher likelihood of quitting your 9 to 5 and going all in with this business, which we'll talk about in just a second, and finding a higher chance of success. Because now 24 hours, you can focus on this thing. But step one is let's just say you've got all of that, right? What's now step one is, finding, did you say attention?
I would say decide on the business model or the vehicle, the thing that you're going to do or help people with or build. But then when you've got something, ready to go, then it's attention. Like you going to the car garage, go and get the attention of someone, put your thing in front of them, and then they're going to give you the money. Or for me, it was my Twitter. I put my Twitter there. People would find the Twitter. Right, I've got your attention. And then it's a matter of time before they reach out for help. So the thing first, product, solution, business.
And by the way, how to find the thing first, one of the easiest things is look at either yourself personally or look at like your friends, family, father, uncle. Maybe they have a car dealership as an example, right? And you know quite a lot about car dealerships as an example. Well, that's one avenue you could go into. Maybe your mom has a bakery or something, right? Well, that's another little avenue that you could start with. And, the numbers that me and William have been talking about here, like hundreds of thousands a month, please obviously be like considerate when you're just starting out. As I mentioned earlier, my story, my first ever client was 500 a month, 500 pounds a month.
More than mine.
Yeah.
Like 10x, mine was $50. So.
Yeah, there you go, right? But everybody has to start somewhere. And your first goal, once you've got that kind of product or the idea figured out, you then figure out like, okay, what is the problem that they're facing and I can fix and solve? Then your first thing is not how can I get to 10K a month, in my opinion. Your first thing is how can I get as many happy customers that they can make videos and photos saying that I'm the best. That's, in my opinion, that's one of the first things. Because if let's just say you're trying to work with me and I'm trying to sell you this website, for example, if I can just send you a link and there's 200 selfie videos of real business owners, some that you even know and look up to, and they're like, hey, I worked with this Marcus guy and he built me this incredible website. You're sold already. I can charge you however much and you'll be happy.
You know what? I've never thought about that, but you're very right. I was just thinking in my head when you were telling that story. Like my first ever customer was happy. My the first batch of customers were happy, and that's what spurred me on, and they helped me make the product better. But if that first guy hadn't have been happy, it might have put me off even. So actually, you do have to start with your first batch of happy customers, and then that inspires you, and hopefully they give you some product feedback as well. And then you're on the roll then, aren't you? Because if you can just get that, like you, if you can just get that first bit of money in the bank, man, even just, my little brother has started a business, hand making like leather cigar holders, pouches, wallets, all this stuff. And when he just made his first few sales, it was like, wow, it's real, it works, it's a business. Then he's like, right, let's make bigger ones, better ones, charge more. And it just spirals, doesn't it?
And just getting that first proof of concept and you're like, oh, this works and people actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
One little physical, really small, random advice that I can give to people, and you said about yourself, you learn from the mistakes and, you adapt and so on. One practical thing that a lot of people don't do, and I've done this in all of my businesses, I have made there's a website called Typeform, which is basically like an online form that people can fill out. And I actually have a type form that I send out to all of my clients, and I tell them, can you please give me like very harsh and honest feedback? And by the way, don't worry, you'll be anonymous. Like I won't be upset.
Like, they kick you out.
Yeah. And we don't ask for their like name, etc., because they can genuinely be anonymous, because I don't want them to feel like, I don't want him to look at me as, because like if I'm their mentor or if I'm like their manager for this thing, I don't want them to, feel some type of way. And your clients will tell you what you need to do. Sometimes me and you, like you said this yourself, there are certain times where you're like, I'm kind of not plateauing, but like I'm pretty good. Like I don't know what else to do. Your clients will tell you. And by the way, you can be incredible already, but there's always some little thing that you can add and improve or change, etc., which is interesting. It's an interesting concept. And that's where we get a lot of our feedback. And that's how, like if you go on YouTube and you search OnlyFans management, it's only me and Harry that pop up. Like we are literally the biggest, the well-known, by far the best feedback. We've had the most reviews, etc. And that's just because we just listen to their feedback.
Dude, that is fascinating, man. I just love the idea of like market dominance and how people become the number one and the go-to. How many years have you been doing this, and how much do you reckon you've done all time in Rev now?
One thing, by the way, about market dominance that we'll talk about in a second, we'll come back to it, is being creative. We'll come back to that in just a second. I started dabbling with OnlyFans management in 2020. This is when I was still running my marketing agency, and I was doing a bit of coaching on the side for SMMA.
Yeah.
And that's when I started learning about, basically I met a girl in person who was doing it. Didn't know she was doing it until like later on. And she was like making $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, okay. That's like the equivalent of 5 clients for me that I have to deal with. And you just take some pretty pictures and videos.
The power of pricing.
Right, there you go. Yeah. And then I realized, I asked her, okay, why aren't you making 10, 15,000? Why not? She was like, I don't have the time and I don't know what I'm doing with marketing. I'm like, great, well, I've got both of those. I'm traveling at this point. I've got everything automated and I know what I'm doing with marketing. I was working with lawyers. Bear in mind, I'm making lawyers who are 40, 50, 60-year-old blokes wearing a suit, talking about the most mundane, boring shit. I'm making them go viral. I'm pretty sure I can get a pretty girl to get a few more likes, right? So that's kind of how it started. Overall, I mean, I'll give you an example, and this kind of goes into the creative side of things. Right now, we're doing a challenge, $1 million OFM challenge of our community. I don't know if you've seen.
I've seen that, yeah.
So we're doing a challenge. Just wanted to see how quickly will it take for our community as a total to collect $1 million.
So good, man.
Today is day 9, and we're up to $400,000, $432,000. And by the way, that's about 5 to 10% of the community actually participating, because a lot of them are either inactive, they haven't seen the challenge yet, because it's only day 9, right? Every day we're getting more and more people joining. So just like in the last 9 days, 435K in the community. Myself personally, 100% over 10 million. Not me like cash collecting, but generated between our clients.
Yeah.
Personally, definitely over 2 million me and Harry made on OnlyFans management, like managing these clients. For example, now I'll show you. This will be live. One of our clients right now, you can say it into the camera. So, for example, I'll refresh it, right?
What number are you showing me?
Look at the monthlies.
I don't dare, because if I see a big number, I want to start doing it. So... yeah, I mean, monthly, multiple 6 figures. Yeah, incredible.
So it's doing pretty well.
It's amazing that it's just, there's so many ways to make $1 million bloody dollars, isn't
Correct. And by the way, like, I think perhaps there'll be a lot of new audience people watching this from your side. A lot of people are always like, but how do you feel about OnlyFans management itself, or just OnlyFans as a whole?
Yeah. I
think overall, of course, it is a net negative. If OnlyFans wasn't in the world, perhaps it would be a little bit of a better place by 0.001%, perhaps. Yeah. But I think there's also a lot of positives to it, right? I think the way we do it, we at least try to do it in the most ethical way possible, meaning we don't work with girls who are just starting out. We don't encourage girls to do it. Matter of fact, if you're watching this, I don't want you to do it. Genuinely, I don't think you should do it. There's lots of other ways. However, if you are already an existing creator who's maybe making 25, 30,000 a month, and you've been able to help your parents travel the world and so on, and you just want to make more, great. This is where we come in.
Dude, I have absolutely nothing against it. I was just thinking of some funny jokes a second ago, but thankfully I didn't really say them. I've got a terrible sense of humour. But I mean, dude, I like the business model. I mean, there's a massive bloody market demand. It
sells itself.
Yeah, it's just the bloody... humans will buy what they'll bloody buy. Humans buy cigarettes, cigars, alcohol, bloody loads of stupid shit, bad food. Girls is no different. It's absolutely no different.
And that's the same as how I look at it. You know, it's like if I was to stop doing it, or if I was to never do it, somebody else would do it anyway. Exactly. It's changed my life dramatically. It changed my models' lives dramatically. They've been able to purchase cars, help their family travel the world, etc. Some of them, I mean, we don't work with them no more, but some of them were working at, like these clubs where they dance and so on, and now they don't have to. Those environments are horrible for these girls. Yeah. Now they just sit at home and take pretty pictures. The other thing as well with OnlyFans is, and I get it, I don't blame people at all, but when they hear the word OnlyFans, instantly they just go to the most like explicit thing that you can imagine, right? Like X-rated content. Yeah. A lot of it is not that. Funny enough,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
But funny enough, like a lot of girls, genuinely, they post the same pictures and videos they would on Instagram, but they just put it behind a paywall.
So I just don't get that. But I actually don't know anything about the business model, man. But one thing I'd love to ask, I'd love to sit down with someone who has a big like alcohol brand and say to them, you know, like, where do you think you sit ethically? Because alcohol's a bad drug. It causes, I don't know, all the things that it causes. I would just love to hear what they say, because for me, I mean, I drink alcohol on occasion. I know it's not good for me. I know that a lot of people do. But we're going a bit off topic here, but I'm just thinking about, because what one of my mentors said to me recently, in a whole different conversation, but he said, look, the point of business is to make money. A business's job is to make money, right? Obviously, you do that in many, many, many different ways, but business is to collect money for the founder, essentially. And it just got me thinking, man. I was like, yeah, that's the real premise. That's the reason why we're here, and everything else is the why and the how. But fundamentally, that's what business is for. And there's so many different vehicles, man. You know, and you've just got to kind of think, what do you want? If you want to build a business to sell for millions of dollars, you're probably not going to do this, you'll do that. Or if you just want cash flow, well, don't do that, do this. You know, again, there's a million ways to make $1 million, isn't there, really?
It really is. There's so many, like, especially with your video, some of your clients teaching how to knitting. Like, there's anything out there.
So cool, man. Yeah, my girlfriend's building a parental consulting business right now, which is essentially coaching on how to get your children to sleep and eat well and, you know, be good with them and stuff like that. And this is why I just love the coaching industry, because you can coach on really, really almost anything. Parenting, knitting, golf, OnlyFans, trading, buying and reselling cars and watches. I've even seen an offer for turning your home into a podcast studio. It's just awesome. I love it.
We started off the podcast with, what are the common traits that you've noticed along your successful friends?
Yeah.
Now, if we flip that on its head, what are the common things or pitfalls that you notice for people that are starting out that is stopping them from getting to that next step, or at least finding success?
Self-doubt, negative impressions from friends and family that impact their beliefs in a negative manner, not learning, like not maybe daring to buy books, buy a course, invest in a mastermind, because they can be quite expensive for the good ones anyway. And yeah, just knowledge, action, self-belief. Yeah.
You know, those two, which is negative surroundings and negative feedback from friends and family, that also is connected to self-doubt, right? Massively. And it's interesting, actually, people talk about the whole, you're the sum average of 5 people, etc. But I think a lot of people don't talk about how actually fucking important that is.
Yeah.
That is it. I was fairly fortunate. Well, I say fortunate, but I moved out when I was 8. As soon as I turned 18, I moved out, right? And I lived in a house share. So basically, for people who aren't from the UK, it's just like a fairly large house, and you just rent the room. It's not like an apartment, but just the room, tiny little room. And I was paying like £400 a month. But that gave me the headspace to just be by myself. Once I'm in that room, I lock the door, I'm by myself. I put my headphones on, etc. Whereas when I was living with my mum, and I love her, of course, she's everything to me. But just naturally, it's just how people are. They're going to talk about what's on the news right now, or she's had a terrible day, or she's had this terrible experience, or her back hurts. You know, mother, I love you to the world, but I'm just focusing right now, right?
Yeah.
But like, you can't say that because it's your mum, you know? Whereas when you're in your own little environment, I think that's so, so, so important. And you, at least for me, at that point, I was just educating myself 24/7.
Yeah. Well, dude, let me say something, because I think people will probably think, oh, well, I don't have rich friends, I don't have successful friends, so how can I get around them? Well, actually, you can get around them digitally. Just only listen to very specific podcasts with the people that you want to be like. You know, don't watch the news. Don't tell your friends and your family what you're even doing. Keep it to yourself. And in the online world, just choose 5 or 10 YouTube channels from people that you love, and just stay with. Maybe it's you, maybe it's me, maybe it's Sam Ovens, Alex Amosi, I don't care. You know, so you can be with them digitally, listen to them. If you can, buy coaching with them and physically speak to them. But even just...
That's even better, yeah.
Obviously, that's the best, but even just the YouTube videos and the podcasts, you can be with these massive people. You're going to learn what they do, what they say, how they are, you know? Just
another little piece of advice for people listening to what William just said there. You said, pick like 5 people and just listen to those, right?
Yeah.
that's one issue that I found when I was starting out. I would listen to like 20, 25 new people near enough every month. And then your info overloaded, right? It's like one person is saying it to this way. Next person is saying, don't do that. That's the worst thing you could do. And I'm like, what the hell? That's literally the opposite. How is that possible? And then I end up kind of trying a bit of this, trying a bit of that, and nothing works. It's so true. Please just pick 3 to 5 people who you're going to consistently listen to and take in what they are saying. And then the odd time when like a video pops up or your person that you're listening to is on a podcast with somebody else, listen to what the other person has to say, but just with a pinch of salt. Don't exactly implement what the other person's saying. Just choose your core 5 and just really focus on that. If not, actually, to be honest, maybe even 5's too many. Maybe even 2 to 3. I don't know. It depends on kind of what, because 5 people will have different opinions for certain things.
That's very true.
Right? But that's one issue that I had. And I see a lot of people having like this information overload. And it's like, but this guy said to not do it this way. But then this guy says to just go. Like, for example, this guy says, get the basics understanding and then just go all in and just do it. You're going to make mistakes anyway and learn from it. But then this guy says, spend the first month to just learn and get your funnels built, get your systems in order, do everything for the first month and then do outreach. And it's like, wait, which one do I do?
Yeah, the less people, the better.
Yeah.
I think. But
I
equally,
agree.
You've just got to see that it can be done. And again, to go back to your question, like, what do people do wrong? Well, you've got to believe that you can do it. Only spend time around people that are physically doing it, because that's going to improve your beliefs. Learn, read books, buy my book. It's one of the best books ever written. Hey, I'm joking. I'm not bragging.
No, you guys should see the fucking reviews.
Yeah.
By all means, they speak for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my book is a good place to start. And just learn, man. Just learn and do shit. Yeah. Make mistakes, man. We all bloody make them. You've just got to... There's all these little mistake hurdles. You just got to bash through the bloody hurdles, keep learning, be around the right people. And it's good, like you said earlier, it's going to happen. It's a matter of bloody time,
One more thing that just came to mind as well, Will, is like, it's so interesting that perspective shifts as you get older and the more money you make, right? Of course, your paradigm shift, your mindset shifts. The biggest one that I never understood when I was coaching people, who are 18, etc. I'm 25 right now, right? Is time. So deep this, right? Realize this, right? To an 18-year-old, 5 years to him is insane. That's like nearly half of his life. 5 years? You're telling me that I got to do this for 5 years? Oh, no, I'm good. To a 45-year-old, for him to invest $250,000 and he's going to get the return in 5 years, he's like, okay. 5 years to a 45-year-old is nowhere near half of his life, right? So time is a very, very interesting thing. And here's an analogy and a thing that I genuinely have made this up. I didn't read this in a book, etc. I say this to everybody watching home, right? Think of one person in your head who you think is the best of the best. It can be anything. It could be business, football, basketball, actor, singer, anything. Think of the GOAT, yeah? Now think how long he or she has been doing that thing for. Most likely not a couple of months. Most likely not a couple of years. A decade or 2, if not 3.
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting that people start a business, they do it for a couple of weeks, they do 50 outreaches or whatever they do, and they're like, I don't think this is working.
They just don't want it. If anyone does it for 2 weeks and gives up, which sounds like me going to the gym, by the way, that's what I do with the gym. You don't really want it, man.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've thought about a lot. When you really want something, you always get it. Given time, like you just said, given time. Actions, man. Just look at people's actions, not what they say. It's all about what they do.
It's true. You yourself watching this at home, you say you want to make 100K or 10K, whatever that number is. Are you acting like it?
Anyone can get... Dude, I mean, if you just do the right thing for 1 or 2 years, you can't help but to make money. So you just got to do the right thing for a long enough period of time,
And there's only one thing that you can do for sure that 100,000,000% guarantee, and I normally make no guarantees. There's only one thing that you can do that 100,000,000% guarantee that you don't succeed is if you just stop doing it. That's the only thing.
I thought you were going to say, there's one thing that I can guarantee. If you do this, you'll definitely be successful. Buy Will's book.
That's the opposite. William, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much,
Thanks so much for having me, man.
We'll leave all of Will's links down below. Please do follow him and check out his book as well, his YouTube channel. I'll leave that down below. Yeah. Super, super valuable stuff. Thank you so much, Will. And yeah, hopefully we'll do another one soon in a couple of years.
Let's do it.